Sam just referenced it. Today's NFC matchup pits two of the NFL's best units against each other, the Saints offense and the Vikings defense. The Vikings defense allowing the fewest points and yards of any team this season, while the Saints were a top 5 offense in nearly every measure, including passing and rushing. To set the table, let's go live to Minneapolis, where we find our Josina Anderson. And most of the talk in the playoffs is about the quarterbacks, and in this matchup too, right? The surprising element of Case Keenum, and then of course the Hall of Famer and Drew Brees. But there is a pretty good matchup on the undercard later today with the running backs in this game.
Oh, yes, Elle. Did you know ever since Week 5 when the New Orleans Saints traded Adrian Peterson, that the Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara show has been the best running back duo in the league, amassing 2,569 yards. But did you know the number 2 duo since then? Vikings running back Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon telling me I do a very good job playing the switch-up role behind Latavius Murray. As soon as they get a good feel for him, I'm in there with fresh legs and a fresh mindset. McKinnon also saying I do a good job showing my versatility, not just running it between the tackles, but catching it out of the backfield and also running routes. But it's clear that McKinnon feels that the Vikings running backs credit bank seems to be very low on coins.
Jared, do you think people are kind of sleeping on your 1-2 punch with all the talk that's going on with Ingram and Kamara?
Yeah, they are.
Think so?
They are.
How do you excited to go on?
They are.
Well, hopefully the M&M duo gets a chance to shine, particularly if the Vikings defense does the same job limiting Ingram and Kamara like they did Week 1. Vikings defensive end Brian Robinson telling me it starts with the interior of the defensive line, particularly with X-Factor defensive tackle Linval Big Belly Joseph, who uses his entire 330-pound frame to narrow the seams. Case in point, Kamara averaged 2.6 yards per carry between the tackles Week 1, 6.4 since then. Ingram 2.0 between the tackles Week 1, 4.8 since then. So Brian Robinson telling me we are very disciplined at setting the edge, whether it's with the defensive end, whether it's with the linebacker or the 3 technique. So even if the center or the guard are pulling Linval Joseph out wide, he does a great job shutting it back down inside. Elle, back to you.
Thank you, Josina Anderson, joining us live from Minnie.
Jeff and Tim joining us live as well. And we're going to talk about this game in particular, the Saints defense. They actually play defense now in New Orleans.
They do.
But when you watch this tape, what are you seeing that they're not getting out of the secondary?
Well, I'm concerned about how aggressive they are with their play caller. Dennis Allen, what he does is he plays a lot of man coverage, and oftentimes he doesn't bring a pressure to get home. Take a look what they're doing. 8 guys up in the line of scrimmage, 3 guys back here. Simple math. You got 11 guys. There's no deep safety. There's no help. So they are playing cover 0, but they're playing cover 0 without sending a pressure to get home. They're basically just rushing 5. And so now what you have is one of the better receivers in the game, Adam Thielen, just running away from coverage with no deep help. The first time I saw this, I thought, well, this must be a bust. There had to be a miscommunication. But you keep studying the Saints defense, and you realize it's actually by design. You take a look at what happens here. We'll bring this down. You got all 11 guys in the picture here. Again, it's man coverage with no help. They're only rushing 5 again. You're not sending enough guys to get home. And you have Trey McBride, much like the Thielen play, just running away from coverage without any help. So you see it a second time. This one's late in the year. You keep watching the same game, and you realize that you're going to get again. All 11 guys are in the picture, every single one of them, which means you don't have a deep safety in the middle of the field to help. And so as they try to pass this off on 3rd and 6, it's a throw in the flat to Trey McBride, and ends up being a massive gain. And so when you look at what Dennis Allen has done, and guys have spoken on this that have played for him, they just are so aggressive with their play call, and oftentimes it doesn't make sense. If you want to play 0 coverage, then bring a pressure to get home. Yeah. When you don't bring a pressure to get home, it makes the quarterback's job so easy, as well as the receivers.
It was not the quarterback's job easy made last time we saw the Steelers and the Jags. By the way, I love that both divisional games are rematches from the regular season. But Ben Roethlisberger had 5 interceptions in that game, and so when you see how the Jags DBs handled, you could say manhandled Ben Roethlisberger, watching the tape, what do you think could resonate today in this rematch?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think Ben's going to throw 5 again today. I mean, there were some that were tipped, some things that got out of control, but ultimately, Jaguars did make some fantastic plays, and I'll show you right here. You're going to have a double post on the up top side of the screen here. You got Ramsey up at the top on Brown. You got Church in the middle. Now look at his hips. Hips face the sideline. Receiver breaks. He turns his hips again, but his eyes never leave Roethlisberger or the ball. Look at the play that he makes to fall off. Now, Ramsey had a little tug on the backside shoulder. Brown may have gotten away with a little bit. But again, that's a big play in a big moment. This is just an insane play. This is Ramsey backpedaling on the ball. Look at the break and how he comes back and gets this ball. Again, fantastic finish at the ball. They ball hawk. They make plays. They are athletic at the back end of this defense. But again, it wasn't just tips. It wasn't just mistakes. It was players making big plays in both those situations. This is still a very formidable opponent for Roethlisberger. I know he said, I want to see him again. Be careful. These guys didn't just get lucky. They made some fantastic plays on that backside.
You mentioned the back end of the Jacksonville defense. Let's talk about that front end of the Jags defense. Dominated the first matchup between these teams. Saxonville, the nickname, historically good. Just the third defense since the merger to lead the league in points, yards, takeaways, and sacks. The other two, the 2006 Ravens, they lost to the divisional round. And then bringing this thing full circle, Pittsburgh, Steel Curtain, won it all in 1974. So Ben Roethlisberger, you had said it there a second ago, arriving for the game this morning. He wanted this team again. But Hasselbeck, if you know what they did to you in Week 5, if you're Big Ben, how are you attacking Jacksonville this time around as he arrives this morning?
Not like that. I mean, look at those. 55 attempts. I mean, you're not starting there. I mean, I think that's the other aspect of it. Look, I think it has to be a big Le'Veon Bell day, and that doesn't mean just running the football because it's not going to be easy to run the ball, but finding ways to get him the ball in space. That's really the key.
Yes.
And so rather than having the ball travel in the air for, down the field or long periods of time where that secondary can react to the football, much like this, the screen game, just get it out of your hands and let Le'Veon Bell try to create and just try to create opportunities for him in space, attack the linebackers, that type of stuff. I think some of the stuff like the plays that Jeff showed where you double post stuff way down the field, you're almost playing into the hands of that Jacksonville defense.
Absolutely. And to your point, Bell only had 15 carries. I think you need 25. Now, he had 10 catches. They were short catches kind of out of the backfield, but I think you need 25. Make this a ground and pound style game. And to your point, your best player is Bell. I don't care if Brown's healthy or not. Bell will carry this offense if you can get the ball to him and he makes those plays, that offensive line. That's the weakness of the Jaguars. If you can run it at them and keep them honest, because if they pin their ears back and they can rush the passer with those guys on the backside, advantage Jacksonville. So keep them honest, keep your third downs at third and short or manageable, and then you have a real shot at putting up some points.
Very quickly, because we're about to get off air here, I do want to ask you, we just heard Randy Moss say he thinks it's actually better for the Steelers if AB doesn't play. I heard Lou Riddick say even if he's just playing as a decoy, he needs to be on the field. Where do you fall?
Yeah, on the field. Listen, he was an MVP candidate before he got hurt. I never think your best players, you don't want them there. I don't care how much more balanced people think. He needs to be on the field if he can play.